Coming to you live from the palatial studios of PBJ Productions. Welcome to Patrick and BJ Talk Real Estate, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything as it relates to real estate. Hey everybody, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're back with BJ and Patrick Talk All Things Real Estate. And today, we have a great follow-up because we spent some time with, this is Corbin. For those of you that haven't met Corbin before, there's a whole video that we did walking through this space, which looks amazing right now, by the way, about how Corbin started his dream of owning a high-end restaurant in Victoria. And so today we're back and we're going to talk about where we're at now because, right, Patrick, when we were here, there was construction everywhere the last time, and
you were just a couple days short of opening a restaurant, and you were telling us about like the dream and how long it's taken to get to that point. So from becoming the employee to the employer to the boss. So that's exciting, and we wanted to see, well, what is the finished product? Not the finished product, it's going to be years in the making, right? But the whole point of our interviews is to help with or share with people the challenges and some tips and tricks maybe on how you got through those challenges, right? So we would love to hear that story.
Amazing.
Yeah, maybe even just start with this. Now we shot you, it was January?
Late January, early February.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for those of you that are watching this now, we are in May, so that's obviously several months later, but maybe tell us to start with, where are we at now?
Where are we at now?
Yeah.
So we are 3 months open, just shy of 3 months open, and reception's been amazing so far. I think we're still, and like you said, for years we're going to be finding ways to tweak and improve and change and refine, but we've gotten off to a brilliant start. There's been tons of support from the community. We're really looking forward to the summer.
That's amazing.
And all the traffic that brings. But yeah, I couldn't have dreamt of things going so well off the bat.
Oh, good. This is all the payback for all like the delays for opening, right? All the city requirements, everything that you had to do to get to even just opening the door. So that's really good that it's going smoothly then.
I wouldn't say smoothly, but well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Behind the scenes, we're kicking like crazy, but the product that makes it out here has been great.
Is there anything you're willing to share on like what parts are not running smoothly that you've been able to fix?
Oh,
right. Like, what are the challenges and obstacles that you've
I
been able to
think
overcome?
the idea,
that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, and I think what Patrick is getting at is we all know it can look beautiful in the dining room, but the kitchen can be like, don't go back there, because everybody's got stuff that they're working on, right? I think that's what Patrick is kind of talking about.
Yeah, I think that's just the industry. Like,
the
entire magic of it is making something that is really, at best controlled chaos look graceful and beautiful by the time it makes it, past that door.
Right, by the time you're serving
your
guests.
I don't know that it's a problem you can solve. I think you just embrace it and ride the wave.
Embrace it and ride the wave.
Yeah.
Well, don't get frustrated.
Right, and I got to say too, just looking around, it looks amazing in here. Right?
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
It's really tough to believe that this is the same space that we nearly wrote off when we saw it for the first time.
Right.
Because it was truly an ugly duckling.
Right.
I think the name couldn't suit much better because,
and this was actually not the first choice either. Because
next door was by
the
far
first
the first choice.
Yeah.
And it just, it showed better on the face of it, but there was not really going to be any way to put a kitchen in there in any time frame that would have worked for us.
Right.
It would have been a lot more complicated and a lot more permitting.
Oh, wow.
So, this ended up being the second choice. I'm pretty glad that it worked out that way. But
awesome.
You really had to squint hard to see it when we first walked through here.
Yeah, but we saw it when like the floors were here. You've already done all the work on the bricks
Yeah.
to like clear them up. So we missed out on. Well, I missed
Yeah.
out on like
BJ
the
didn't.
rough model. Yeah,
The ground
you've
zero,
seen
I
that.
saw ground
Yeah.
zero.
It looked like ground zero.
Yikes. I've been hearing, this is probably for the past 2.5 years, since COVID, right? Staffing issues.
Yep.
Shortage, especially, and then you're having delays in opening, and then trying to keep people, like, I'm sure people they got to pay their rent, they got
Yeah.
bills to pay,
Yeah.
they need to work, right? So how has staffing issues have been?
Surprisingly smooth.
Surprisingly,
Yeah,
okay.
pretty good. I think, we're paying well above the industry standard, and we're dividing the tips in a way that makes it a lot more worthwhile for the culinary staff. So we've had really good luck.
So it's fair, but rewarding for everybody.
Yeah,
still then.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. It's a bit more equitable. I think that's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and it's sort of, one of those industry assumptions and just entrenched things that felt a little broken, and I think
Yeah.
was making it really hard for people to hire culinary staff, because during the pandemic, a lot of people, they lost their jobs overnight, and unless they were really passionate and unless they had to be in a kitchen somewhere because it's all they ever wanted to do, they found other things to do. And then the remaining people, they didn't want to work for less than they felt they were worth anymore. So
fair enough.
Yeah, and I think we did some innovative things to try to address that. We have a 4-day work week, longer days, but everybody gets 3 days off in a row. They get a bit more balance in their life because the controlled chaos does take a lot out of you. And the tip sharing, and so we managed to hire some highly qualified people who are also, great personalities. And
So that sounds like you've done a couple things. Like you've addressed the idea, because I'm sure there's a high turnover in the restaurant industry
Yeah.
for staff. So making it more equitable so people feel valued more. Keep like high skilled culinary staff.
Yeah.
I'm sure waitresses, waiters as well. And then life balance.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
probably only comes from experience. I'm not saying you can't read this in a book, but from yourself.
Yeah, I think it
Years
helps
in
to
the
have felt
industry.
it.
Yeah.
and to have,
So you can
yeah,
really empathize
for sure.
with everybody that's on your team.
Yeah, and just a long time being sort of fly on the wall in other people's operations, seeing what works and what doesn't,
Right.
and maybe hearing the grumbling that the owner didn't.
They can
behind the
ignore it
scenes.
for a while,
Yeah,
right? Or
yeah.
as long. Yeah, I'm sure there's companies that's just the way things go. We'll just have a high turnover, right?
Yeah.
But we're only going to pay this, or we're only going to do it this way. Yeah.
Which doesn't work so well anymore because there's no one else waiting with a resume. So you can't just keep those churning
Sure.
over.
Right, since there's
Yeah.
other people are struggling with staffing.
Yeah, and it makes it tough to keep any momentum going if you're constantly retraining people, and that's expensive too. That's a hidden cost that
Well,
people
your-
don't
yeah.
consider
And
when
your
they're
time, right?
Yeah, when people don't try hard to retain staff. That's something that probably they're not factoring in, is the fact that they're losing momentum, they're starting back at square one over and over and over again, and that's like, yeah.
Yeah, and I
Right.
think that's the thing too, is you're building then a team. It's not just a whole bunch of people doing a job because they get paid.
Yeah.
But it becomes more of a team where everybody's in it together,
For sure.
and everybody starts to take ownership of what's happening, right?
Yeah, people get more invested and give more of themselves when you take those steps, I think. Hopefully.
This all sounds like we were talking about pros and cons of owning your own business, right?
Yeah.
And we touched on leadership. It's like, oh, wait a minute, like this all sounds like really good leadership skills, team building, and support everybody all together. But yeah, it probably didn't come. Looking at yourself 10 years ago or 15 years ago, maybe those elements wouldn't have been there just yet.
Even 3 years ago.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be as nice as I can here, right? But to bring that all together, to understand, these are the broken elements of your industry, and to bring those pieces back together.
For sure.
Hopefully.
'Cause-
Fingers crossed.
Well,
It's a bit of a gambit, but
right. And here's the other thing: at the end of the day, the buck stops with you, right? So this is going back to what we were talking about the pros and cons of owning a business. And one of the things we had said is, you have to understand, if you're the business owner, the buck stops with you. You are the one
Yeah.
who takes final responsibility and kind of everything that
Yeah,
goes with
but
that,
that's
right?
invigorating and exciting.
Yeah.
To be able to implement these things
Right.
that you think could improve the operation of the industry or whatever, and not really have anyone to answer to or to run it by or to stand in the way. So yeah, sort of having the shackles off, so to speak, is liberating. But you
yeah.
know, obviously, then you have to live with the consequences of whatever decisions you've made.
Right.
Have you hired, nothing personal, don't give me
Yeah.
any details, have you hired any employees that didn't work out?
Yeah, just a little.
How was
I think
firing
that's
them?
always part of it. It was the first person I ever had to let go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucked. It was
Sucked.
awful. Yeah, but yeah, it was.
Part of being the boss, right? The
know.
buck stops with
Yeah,
you.
easily the
Right.
worst part. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure you gave them opportunities.
Yeah, and it was nothing wrong with them. Like, I think it was just a mismatch of skill set versus
Okay.
what we needed.
Okay.
And yeah, having to sort of tighten the team a little bit as people got on their feet. Yeah.
Right.
Sounds like a fair way to put it, right? Yeah.
So, hey, question: how's this been now since opening, but even the process and everything? How's this been for the family, for your wife?
Oh God. I think she's looking at this time as an investment of her energy slash loneliness, perhaps. Yeah, I think she's counting on it to pay off in the long run, but we haven't seen much of each other since, like, honestly, before we opened, like December.
When all the work was being
Yeah,
done.
yeah, I've been here 7 days a week, you know,
Right.
14 to 16 hours a day.
Right. It's a 4-day work week for almost
Yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah. Well, somebody's got to pick up the slack. But yeah, she comes in after work on her work days and we eat here together, so that's
Oh,
nice.
that's nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
super.
And
Well, there's a benefit there, right?
Yeah. And what are so now? When are you open?
Today is actually our first Wednesday that we're open. This is the 3rd of May. So for the summer, we're open 5 days a week, Wednesday through Sunday.
Okay.
And then we just came from our winter hours of being open just Thursday to Sunday, and that was a little bit to have extra people in the building working while everybody's figuring themselves out and getting a feel for things.
Right.
So we kind of opened with enough staff to be open 5 days a week. But now, for the first time in May, we're taking advantage of the fact that they're here. Yeah.
Right. There's cruise ships are starting to be here.
Yeah,
Right.
cruise ships, the hotels are filling up. People are choosing to travel here because the weather's nice.
Yeah.
The exchange rate is good for Americans.
Is it? I don't even know where we're at
It's
versus
like
the American dollar right now.
72 cents or something like that, or 73.
Yeah, everything's a bargain when you come here,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I think the hotels will be big for us. In April, we went around till the concierges at like the higher end hotels,
Nice.
like Oak Bay Beach, the Empress, Magnolia, all
Let
of
them know
those.
you're here.
And brought them gift certificates to just come eat on us so that they could experience it. And that's already paying dividends, I think. They're sending us a lot of business and, you know,
So obviously they had a good experience when they came.
yes, they were very happy.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I know we've talked about this before, but so where is here for everybody that's
Where is
watching
here?
this that maybe they haven't seen the original and they might go back and watch the other one after, but where is here?
Yeah, we are deep in the heart of Chinatown, on Fisgard, between Government and Wharf, I guess it is down there, or Store. Anyways, we're the Chinatown block of Chinatown.
Right. And we're actually right next to the alley, right?
Yes, just like a door down from Fantan Alley, in a really, really beautiful 120-something-year-old brick heritage building. You don't find buildings like this, opportunities like this.
Right. And I remember when we were going through this, and it was just a shell, how it was important for you to keep the history and the culture of kind of how it got here in Chinatown and everything. How's that been?
That also has worked out really well for us. You know, it wasn't, when we weren't looking at just Chinatown locations, it hadn't really crossed my mind to really do anything sort of Asian fusiony. But once we were here and wanting to provide experiences that were really grounded in a place, I think there was no question that we had to integrate that little homage to Chinatown into everything we were doing.
Right.
So it shows in the aesthetic, it shows in the food, just little touches throughout the menu,
Sure.
and the experience sort of harken back to Chinatown, remind you of where you are. And I think it's made us a more interesting restaurant than probably we would have been if we were just, another Pacific Northwest fine dining restaurant serving like, local fish, local produce.
Right.
Like there are enough of those, maybe not in Victoria, but in this part of the world.
Sure.
And I think this little extra refinement and bit of specificity about where we're at it's charmed people. They've been into it. The
Awesome.
feedback
Yeah.
on it has been really great.
Tell me about the brick.
The brick?
Yeah, I know we've talked about this before, but they may not have seen it. Tell me about the brick. And for those of you that, and we'll show you the footage of it, but there's beautiful brick walls all down this side here in front of us.
Yeah, so when we took the building over, it was covered in like the remnants of old plaster and drywall. And I don't know, somebody had terrible taste, I guess, at one point to cover it all over. But that was 200 hours of my own time-ish before we even had electricity in here, scraping it off with a drill and a wire brush. And I'm pretty sure it's built out of ballast brick. So like, it was like almost like brick forge rejects from overseas that were used as ballast in boats and then dumped here and they built with them.
Oh, yikes. Yeah.
Because like
Nice.
the density and solidness of each brick is completely different. But I feel like I got to know the building really well going through that.
Right.
I know you talk a lot about the food, and all I can think about, like when we're talking about like being in Chinatown, the brick, like how many extra steps you had to go through because it's like a heritage site.
Yeah.
To like, so that extra effort seems to be paying you back in that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and we wanted something that felt historical and had some character beyond sort of the,
Just a shoebox somewhere.
Yeah,
Did I say?
exactly.
I'll say it. Right. Some places are just like
it's
just
very
drywall.
bland
Right.
and just lacking in
this
soul.
gives so
and I
much character, soul.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this place has soul.
Character, yeah. Yeah,
So.
for sure. So, I know we've gone a little longer than we normally do, but
Have
we
we?
wanted
Already?
to. We already, yeah. But
Yeah,
but we
fix it in
wanted to.
post.
Oh no, you know what? It's wonderful. We wanted to spend the extra time talking to you about it and about where we're at with it. But just so for everybody that doesn't know exactly where we are, it's 543 Fisgard.
Yes.
And like I said, Fantan Alley is just like over there, a stone's throw from where we are, and great place to come. What are your hours again?
We're open for dinner 5 till we take our last table at 9:30, and we have a little bakery cafe operation going during the day, Thursday through Sunday. That's open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Amazing.
Yeah. So you know what? Make some time. Make a trip down here. It's worth coming down here to have a sit down and tell Corbin we said hi and that you saw the video and you're here to try out the cuisine.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
for doing this again.
Yeah, awesome to see you both again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all for watching.
We'll catch you in the
and,
next one.
See ya.